that our alumni, students of TYBA Psychology, Department of Psychology have organized. Today we have three mentors. We have Bhavi Cheda, who will be talking about one of the most important, uh, aspect of using online Excel program, and this is specifically important for TY psychology students and I think even economic students because we do use a lot of calculations. So in statistics, which is paper 4 in TY psychology, a lot of it would be done using Excel, and we will also be teaching you SPSS and R later on when we go through the syllabus. So Bhavi is going to take you through Excel very, very slowly so that you understand the functions, you understand how to use the Excel sheets, how to work on the worksheets, etc. Moving on, towards the end, we have, like discussed before, most of you have mastered using Canva. So we will be showing you how cartooning can be done. And cartooning is very useful because it just makes your presentations very creative. And towards the end, we will have Lakshmi was supposed to do this before, but she had a very bad throat infection. So she was going to be talking about community service experiences and how it's going to be helpful to make your resume even more enriched once you complete your community service. So over to you, Bhavi. She's Excel guru and stat guru. So any questions, you can put it in the chat box. And if you can't see her screen, request you to put it in the chat box immediately. Yep. So over to you, Bhavi.
So hi guys. So today we'll be doing about going about Excel, and we'll be doing it in three parts. So first, I'll just give you an overview of Excel, how it works. After that, the Google form that you created yesterday, we'll learn how to transfer that data into Excel, and after that, we'll be doing the actual statistics on Excel. So what I would like to tell you all is that after every step, I'll be giving you some time to do it by yourself to learn it side by side. And what I want you to do is type in the chat box yes or just show me a thumbs up so I can know that you all have understood it. And in case if you have any doubt, just put it in the chat box so I can address it at the same time and not later on, so it might not create further confusion. Okay, so let's begin. Yeah. So basically, Excel is a spreadsheet application developed by Microsoft. And first, we'll start with how to create a workbook. So you can either first open Excel by double clicking on the icon or selecting it from the start menu. So do you have your Excel open? Okay, so after you click on that application, it will lead you a screen like this, and it will show you different type of templates that you want to use. And here also you can search for online templates. But for statistics purposes, we only use a blank workbook. So you click on a blank workbook, and it will lead you to a screen like this. Now, initially I said that Excel is a spreadsheet application. So what a spreadsheet basically is that it organizes your data into rows and into columns. And in Excel, each of these rows and columns intersect or meet at a point called cell. Now, each of these rectangular boxes are called cell. And when you click on any particular cell, it becomes active. As you can see, this is an active cell. It will be highlighted with a green border. Now, the name of this cell is written over here. Now, the name of the cell is first the column name, which is D, and then the row name. So as you can see, the name of this cell is D3. Now, each of these workbook, this is called a workbook, can be divided into sheets. As you can see over here, sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. And you can organize your data into multiple sheets as in how you want. And you can add a new sheet just by clicking on the plus icon over here. Now, the basic part, how do you enter data? So you just click on a cell and start entering your data. Now, what kind of data can you enter is you can enter text, you can enter numbers, you can enter formula. Now, how do you save? So you click on file, you go to save as. Over here, you place the location where you want to save it. You give your file a name, and always remember Excel files are in XLS format. And then you click on save over here. Now, these are the different types of changes you can make on your sheet, and these will make your data look more organized, more presentable, and more professional. So you can change the font type over here, font size over here. You can make a change to your color of the data over here. You can give a background to a particular cell over here. So if you want a certain part of your worksheet to look more highlighted, so you can give it a color by clicking over here. Then you can change your data to bold, italic, underline. You can also give border to one or more cells. I usually advise to give border to the cells that you are working on, so it highlights that portion and you can eliminate the rest of your screen. Now you can also change the width of a column or the height of the row. So you can do that simply by selecting in between the two columns that you want to change and drag to your right or to your left to increase or decrease the width. Same way for row, click in between the two rows and drag up or down to just increase or decrease the height. So this was the basics of Excel. Now we will move on to the survey form that you prepared yesterday. We'll learn how to download it. So this was the survey form that you made yesterday. You will need to have the edit access to it. So yesterday, how you were taught to add collaborators, that way you can download it. You go to response, so you can see we've got 11 responses over here. So over here is the Google Sheets logo. So Google Sheets works in the same way as Google Docs or Google Slides. So you can see all of our data has been transferred into an Excel format. Now here you click on File and you click on Download and you see Microsoft and it's in the format of .xlsx. And you click on this and over here you can see that your file is being downloaded. Now we start with the data that we're actually going to be working our statistics on. So I would like everyone to be ready with this data. And if you're done with it, just put a yes or a thumbs up on the chat box so I can move ahead. Okay, so I guess these are enough of you. So we'll be conducting statistics on all of these parts. We'll be doing on demographics as well and on the scales as well. So the types of statistics that we'll be doing are total. You can enter these side by side. Then mean. We'll be finding out the highest value, the lowest value, the range, standard deviation, and the variance. If you're ready with this much, I can move ahead.
Guys, I please write in chat if you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bhavi, I think you can go ahead.
Okay, ma'am. So all of these formulas, you can find them over here in Formulas tab. You go to More Functions and Statistics. So any and every of the statistical formulas are over here. But these are the basic descriptive stats. So every time it would be really tedious to go over here, find your formula. So I advise you to remember the basic formulas. The rest, the advanced ones, you can, which you rarely work with, you can go over there. but at least the basic ones I would recommend you to remember them. So all of the formulas start with an equal to sign. So the formula for total is sum. As you want to find the total, you open the bracket. Now you click on the cell that you want to start the calculation with. So here the name of this cell is B3. So we click over here, we put a colon sign, and then we click on the last cell that you want to enter. So as you can see, Excel has already selected all the cells that you want to find the total of, and then you close the bracket and then you press enter. So as you can see, the total has already been calculated. Now here you can see the number, but over here if you see, so here is the actual formula that you have used. Now since here we have a lot of data, yeah. So here you have a lot of data. That's why you put a colon sign. If you just have 2 or 3 cells to calculate, you can just directly select on them and add a plus sign. Now another good feature with Excel is that here, if suppose by mistake, if you want to put some other number, so instead of 33, I want a 30. So I put enter 30 and I click enter. So Excel automatically changes the calculation over here, and from 542 the answer changed to 539. So I'll change this back to 33. Now the formula, we'll move on to formula for mean if you guys are ready. I guess I'll go ahead then. Yeah. So the formula for mean is equal to, now as we know, the other name for mean is also average. So the name of this formula is also average. We open the bracket, again we'll click on B3, we'll put a colon, and don't forget that it should be B22 and not over here B23, otherwise it will also include 542 in the calculation. And we'll close the bracket and we select enter. So as you can see, the mean is already calculated. Are you guys done with this much? Yeah. So now for range, Excel doesn't have a particular formula for range. So the formula for range is the highest value minus the lowest value. So Excel does have a formula to find out the highest value among this data. So we'll do that and then we'll apply the formula for range. So the other name for highest is maximum and the short form for maximum is max. So we write max, we open the bracket, we want to find the maximum value between these two cells. So again we do the same thing, close the bracket. So this is the formula for finding the highest value. So as you can see that 45 over here is the highest value and there is no other value which is higher than that. Now we'll move on to finding the lowest value. So we put an equal to sign, it's short form of minimum MIN. We'll again open the bracket. So as you can see, it advises you over here also how to frame the formula. And B22 and we'll close the bracket. So as you can see, Excel has already given us the lowest value, which is 17. Now the formula for range is the highest value minus the lowest value. So we again put an equal to sign, we select the highest value, we put a subtraction sign and we select the lowest value. Now over here, if you see, I didn't give it a formula, put a bracket, because I directly knew what the formula was and what cells I had to select. When you are applying a formula, that is where you will have to write what command you want it to have and put brackets into it. Now standard deviation. So the formula for standard deviation is equal to STDEV. You open the bracket, you select here, put a colon sign and you select here and you close the bracket. So this is standard variation. Are you guys done till here? So I can move on to variance. And if up till here, if you have any doubts, you can just put it in the chat box. I can address it right now. Yeah, I'll repeat range. So first we find out the highest value. The formula for highest value is this, equal to sign maximum, and you select the cells for which you want to find. Then lowest value, the formula for lowest is this, equal to, okay, equal to sign, and you write minimum, and then again you select. Then for range, the formula is the highest value minus the lowest value. So you put an equal to sign, you select the value which is highest, then you put a minus sign and you select the value which is lowest, and you press enter. So the range will be calculated. Now, can you tell me where exactly we have to select in the formulas? So over here, so you want me to tell you in this, in the tab, or over here? Okay, over formulas. So you go over here, you go to more functions, you go to statistical functions. So here you can see the average formula. Then over here, here you see the maximum formula, minimum formula, then standard deviation also you will have over here, STDV. So it gives a .p and a .s format also, but it is okay if you don't put .p or .s. You can directly just type STDV. Now coming on to standard deviation formula once again. So it is equal to sign STD, short form for standard, and you put EV, short form for deviation, and then you open the bracket, and then you select the cell. You select the cell by clicking on it. You put a colon, and again you select over here, and you close the bracket and you press enter. Are we done till here? Okay. Now variance. So there are two formula for variance. So in your testing you will learn that the formula for variance is standard deviation square. So you can do that, or you can apply a direct formula for variance. I'll show you both. So first we'll do standard deviation square. So we put an equal to sign. We'll click on our standard deviation, and in Excel the multiplication sign is the asterisk sign, and then again you click on the same cell. So here you will see it is B28 multiplied by B28, which is the square, and then you click on enter. Or you can apply the direct formula, which is an equal to sign, VAR, short form for variance. Again you open the bracket, and you select here, you put a colon sign, and you select here and close the bracket and select enter. So you get the same answer anyways. So are we done for the statistics on the demographics of age? Yeah. Now we'll move on to the demographics of gender. So as in yesterday you saw in your research paper, you need to mention what percent of your data was male, what percent of your data was female. So that we calculate over here. So first we apply a filter. It is a shortcut way of finding. Here you just have 20 data, so you can count how many males were there, how many females were there. But when you are dealing with a data of 100 responses or 200 responses, so you need to find few shortcuts that will help you to make your calculation easier. So you select over here on the whole cell, you go to home. Over here there is an option of filter. So a filter will only show you the responses what you want to see. So here I just want to see male responses. So I'll deselect the rest and I'll select only male, and then I'll press OK. So as you can see over here, it shows that 10 of 27 records found. So it tells that there are 10 responses of male. So We know that there are 10 male responses. Now we select female. So here there are 9 responses of female. And now we had also given the option of other. So we find, so there was one record of other gender. Now please remember to select all at the end and remove the filter. Otherwise it may lead to confusion. Now we'll calculate the percentage. Are we clear till here? Yeah. So we'll make a short separate table. We'll type male again over here. We'll type female and we'll type other. Now we'll enter the number of data that we found. So there were 10 males, there were 9 females, and there was 1 other. Now we'll calculate the percentage for this. So as any formula starts with an equal to sign, then we select the number, then we divide it by your n. So what n is? N is your total number of responses. So here you're keeping a serial number will help you. So as you can see, we have a total of 20 responses. So your n is 20. So you enter 20 and you multiply it by 100. So a slanting sign is the division sign and the asterisk mark is the multiplication sign. So your number divided by n into 100 is the formula for calculating percentage. And we select enter. So as you can see, 50% of our responses were made. Now you can do the tedious work of applying the formula again and again, or you can do a shortcut. So over here, as you can see on the bottom right corner, you see a highlighted portion. You select that and you have a different plus sign. Your normal plus sign looks like this, but when you shift here, the plus sign changes. You select on it and you drag till here. And you see the formula gets applied to other cells as well. Over here you can see that the formula for female is applied and over here the formula for others is applied. With this you can know that 45% of your responses were female and 5% of your responses were others. So if you're done till this much, we can go ahead. And if you have any doubts, I'll clear it up here. The last bit of dragging it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you can apply the same formula again, like putting an equal to sign, selecting it, dividing it by n and multiplying it by 100. Or you can do the easy work of selecting on the cell that you want to apply the formula. On the bottom right corner, you change it to a plus, you select and you drag. And you can see the formula gets applied everywhere. Okay, I'll show the percentage part again. The formula for percentage is basically the number that you want to find the percentage for divided by the total or n multiplied by 100. So over here the percentage we want to find is for 10 males. So we select here, divided it by the total or n. So we know it is 20 and then we multiply it by 100. So any number you multiply it by 100 will give you a percentage. So you got your percentage as 50. And then you click here and you drag. Is it clear now? Yeah. Now we conduct statistics on actual data, which is the main portion of your statistics. So over here, every scale comes with a manual and you should have a manual with your scale so that you know how the scoring works. So in most of the scales, the manual will tell you to do the total of all the scores of the responses, but there might be some where you have to do reverse scoring and it will explain you how the scoring has to be done. So So in the scale that we have used, the scale that you used yesterday, it tells you that you have to calculate the total. So we'll put an equal to sign, we'll write sum. Now I showed you the clicking method where you click and you calculate the sum. There is another way which you can do. You just write the name of the cell. So first it is B3. So we'll write B3. We'll put a colon, and another one is H3. We'll write H3 and we close the bracket. So the total is calculated for you. Hashtags appear when I'm dragging. So have you entered the values over here?
No, so I'm talking about the male, female, and other part. So I got 50, and
Yeah.
formula-wise I get everything. But then I tried dragging from 50,
Huh.
and it comes like hashtags no value, like something like that.
That is because you're selecting it like this and dragging. You have to select over here. If you select here, you will get hashtags only.
Okay, okay,
You have to select on the bottom right corner.
all right.
Now the same thing over here, you can do the laborious task of typing the formula everywhere, or you can just use a shortcut by clicking on the bottom right corner and dragging it till the last cell, and you get the formula applied everywhere. So you can see the sum is calculated for all of them.
Can you please repeat total again?
Yeah. So total is basically you put an equal to sign and you write sum. And then in the brackets you put the cells for which you want to find the total of. So here we wanted to find from here to here. So here, and we put a colon sign and we click here. And then you press enter.
Thank you.
I had a question. So,
Yeah.
like when we're finding the total or any formula, so is there a need to insert a colon, or you directly drag it from like the starting cell to the end and it comes on its own?
So there are many shortcuts, and one of them is also this. So we put an equal to sign sum bracket and you directly select these cells by dragging them. So you can do that as well.
All right, all right. So that's okay, right?
Yeah, that is completely okay.
Thank you.
When you work more with Excel, you will find yourself using different kinds of shortcuts that you will find it on your own. So if you are done till here, I can move on to the descriptive stats of the data. So we have to find the same stats same these stats for our data as well. So I'll copy it over here. Now what I want you to do is, I'll teach more shortcuts for this later on, but first I want you to type the formula and find out the total, mean, highest, lowest, range, standard deviation and variance on your own for now. So I'll give you 2 minutes, and once you're done in the chat box you can type yes, and then I'll show you what the answers were so you can tally it on your own. So once you guys are done, just type yes in the chat box. Okay, I'll standard deviation once again. So standard deviation is an equal to sign S T D E. You open the bracket.
Aniket, can you please, 1 second. Bhavi,
Yeah.
1 second. Aniket, can you please mute yourself? Aniket, can you please? Thank you, Aniket. Yeah, Bhavi.
Yeah. So STDEV, you open the bracket, you select the cells, and you close the bracket. So now for practice sake, I wanted you guys to type the formulas everywhere. So another shortcut is that you select these, because you know the formulas, we've already applied them over here. You copy them and you paste them over here. So, but be careful that when you are applying the formula, the copy and pasting should be on the same level. If you are copying over here and if you are pasting it over here somewhere, then the formula might change and it may lead to a lot of confusion. But here it is, since it's on the same level, it's okay. You can directly just copy paste it and you can see that the sum formula is applied, the average is applied. highest, lowest, range, standard deviation, and variance. So this is a shortcut that you can use. Now over here for scale 2, I've directly typed in the totals, and we'll do the same thing and copy paste the formulas over here. So you can check your answers if they're coming the same, and apply the same formulas to the second scale as well. And when you're done with this, you can let me know on the chat box. Okay, great. Now we'll move. So this was just a descriptive stats. Now we'll move on to some advanced statistics, the inferential statistics, which will be the main from which you draw your main conclusions for your research paper. And there are many kinds of inferential statistics. So today we'll just be doing correlation. Now correlation you find between the totals of your two scales. So you want to find the relationship between your two variables. So whether they increase together, decrease together, or whether it is inverse, one will increase, the other will decrease, and so on. So you can click on any of the cells and enter the formula. So the formula for correlation is equal to sign, CORREL. You open the bracket. First, you select the first cell of scale 1. You put a colon. You select the last cell of scale 1. Then you put a comma. So Excel will come to know that the scores of your first variable end over here, and now you're typing this, giving it the scores of the second variable. Now you click over here. You put a colon, and then you click over here, and you close the bracket. So here, what you are basically telling Excel is, I want to find the correlation between my first scale, the scores being this, and the second scale, the scores being this. And you select enter. So you can see it gives you a correlational value. Are you guys done with this? Yeah, the correlation. Yeah. First you put an equal to sign. You write CORREL. So here it will show you, it depends on the software also how updated it is, whether it shows you how to go about the formula below. You open the bracket. So here it is telling you array 1. So first we select this much. So this is your array 1. So these are the scores of your first variable. You put a comma. Now you tell it that you're now giving it the scores of the second variable. So now you select over here. And you close the bracket. And you select enter. So here you can see that our correlation that we got is a positive correlation. If it was negative, it would have been something like this, or like this. So this is a negative correlation, and this is a positive correlation. So as you learned yesterday, a positive correlation is basically a direct relationship, that as the scores over here of one variable increase, the scores of the other variable also increase. And a negative correlation is the scores of one variable will increase and the other will decrease, or vice versa. It can happen any which way. Now we find out that how strong or how weak is your correlation. So if you can see here, the value is 0.45 and so on. So if the correlational value is either 0.1, 0.2 or 0.3 and ahead, so it means that the correlation is weak, as these are lower values. If it is 0.4, 0.5 or 0.6, it means that the correlation is moderate. And if the correlation is values are 0.7, 0.8 and 0.9 or even higher than that, it means that it is a very high correlation. So as of now, you just need to know this much, and the other detailed part you can do it later. But there are two types of and it can also be that you get 0.00 and then 1. So this means it's a zero correlation. That means that there is no relationship between the variables. So this is not even a weak correlation, it is a zero correlation. So there are three types of correlation: positive, negative and zero. And there are 3 levels of magnitude: 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, which is weak; 0.4, 0.5, 0.6 is moderate; and 0.7, 0.8 and 0.9 and higher is strong. Like you might also sometimes get 0.99, which is a very strong correlation. Okay, now what do you want me to repeat? I just typed a random number to show you what is negative correlation. I didn't get negative correlation anyway. The correlation between these two variables is the positive correlation. It is this. Okay. Percentage formula. So if you are stuck up with any of the formulas, anytime you can Google them as well. They are very easily available online. But in normal language, your formula for percentage is basically the number divided by your total multiplied by 100. So as you can see over here, the number was 10. You divided by your total, which was 20, and you multiplied by 100. For calculating any kind of percentage, this is the basic formula. And then you apply it depending on your data. So yeah, we are done. And if you guys have any doubts, you can do them.
Okay, Bhavi, I think there are no questions. Most of them have understood. So are you done with your part, Bhavi?
Yes,
Bhavi,
ma'am. There was just one question.
You explained the formulas. So I think we can move on to the next part.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bhavi. I think that was very well done.
Thank you, ma'am.
Students, if you have any more questions regarding the Excel table, you can put it in the chat box and we will give you some things that you can answer on the WhatsApp group. Over to you, Lata.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bhavi.
Thank you, ma'am. Hi, everyone. Very good afternoon. So today I'll be covering a very interesting topic. I'm sure most of us love reading comics and memes. So I'll show you all how to create your own comic strips using Pixton. So basically, Pixton is a site that allows you to communicate graphically with comics. It is accessible through any web browser and it can be accessed from phones, tablets, and laptops. So I'll quickly share my screen. So go to Google and type Pixton. The very first link that you see, click on that. So this is how the web page looks like. Click on For Students on my own. So Pixton has three different language options, that is French, Spanish, and English. You can choose as per your preference. Next, if you're a first-time user, you'll have to sign up. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, my internet is lagging.
Lata, if your internet is lagging, do you want Lakshmi to take over and then you come? Okay, great. Started?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, my internet is slow right now.
So do you want Lakshmi to take over and then we wait for her to finish?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Lakshmi, are you ready to start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you can start, Lakshmi. So
Yes,
Lakshmi is another mentor for today's session. She's also an alumni. She's going to share very briefly her experience with community service. and how it will help in your resume. Over to you, Lakshmi.
Thank you, ma'am. Hi, everyone. I'll start with first sharing my screen. Can you guys see it? Okay, I'll start. So, engaging in community service. Why should I volunteer? Can anyone tell me if they have done volunteering or any community service before? Hello? No. Yes. Most of you. I think everybody did it last year. But do you actually know what does volunteering means apart from just going and working there? What are the benefits about volunteering? I'll present you some of the benefits and advantages that doing community service gives us. First, let me start. Why should I volunteer? Students who engage in community service are more responsible with higher self-esteem and reliance. Volunteering also helps the team gain new skills necessary for the job market, such as leadership, communication skills, dependability, time management, and decision making. What impacts does volunteering on participating students have? There are various impacts that we have. First, we value in the act the feeling that we have of giving back to the society, especially when you're passionate about the cause. Like, for example, we last year's batch, that is the 19 of us, all divided ourselves into different NGOs, and people who there were some who were comfortable working with older adults, some who were okay preferred working with kids, and they started their community service accordingly. And later, when you as it says, this level of feeling of goodness is unlike and so much better than the dopamine shots of seeing 150 Facebook likes on your selfie. Let's move ahead. Personal and social development. As we all know, commonly, like students volunteer in groups. Working in the group gives you a sense of togetherness, forms a strong bond with other caregivers as well as care receivers. Let's move ahead to how you build your profile, the most important aspect of community service. According to many surveys, college admissions officers identify a student's volunteer commitment to a cause or an organization as one of the highly valued determinants of a strong applicant. So currently, many of my batchmates are applying to abroad universities, and every university forms have this option of entering about your volunteering service. What community service have you done? I'll here give you the advantages, what it benefits us. It helps us to develop valuable networks with that have the potential to transform into long-term professional collaboration. Someone who's into teaching, who likes teaching, and who goes and works with an NGO with kids, can later also have a teaching experience and apply in the NGO for later if they like your work. And working towards a cause without a visible financial payout indicates commitment and passion. Yeah, when you go and work at the or volunteer somewhere, you don't pay any fees to go and work there, and it shows how much there's no economy transaction, but still there's commitment and passion that shows with the students' discipline and hard work. It also gives us pre-career opportunity to find our niche. Like so as a psychology student, when you go and work around NGOs, you come to know what kind of crowd you want to cater to, what kind of subfield you want to join in. It gives you work experience. Yes, working at the NGOs do count as a work experience at many job places. And later you acquire skilled in volunteer work such as basic skills like teamwork, experience in the organization structure, time and people management, crisis management, and you also know how to raise fund and also manage them. Later we move on, what do I need to volunteer? No, you don't need anything but passion and positivity. That's it. While learning new skills can be beneficial to many, it is not a requirement for a fulfilling volunteer experience. Bear in mind that the most valuable assets you can bring to any volunteer efforts are your teammates. And my teammates doing service at the NGOs are customer care, confidence, public relations, flexibility, problem solving, planning. So I'll give you an example of what we did in planning. We planned out a small event on Independence Day for our first semester. At one of the NGOs where the team was working, we prepared a dance competition, performance, and other tiny performances for an and put it out as a big Independence Day show. We also worked as we also had a training. We did have a opportunity to show our creativity with the help of teaching them how to make artworks, drawing, charts. I'll show you later in the slide. There are certain NGOs how they require you to do certain activities to get a desired letter of recommendation. So when you go to an NGO, most NGOs have a sheet where you log your hours, your date, your time, and what work you did under which teacher, and take the respective teacher's signature. Later, after you're done, to send an entire scanned copy to the required email address, which gets cross-checked with your register, and later a letter is issued. Here you see some artwork for Christmas and other activities. For just to inform you guys, there are many NGOs where it is necessary to do a certain kind of activity for them. If you want to complete your volunteering hours, it's a mandatory. Here is one of our today's co-mentor, Bhabhi Joshi, who is still volunteering at the NGO as an online volunteer. There are many NGOs like this who are providing volunteers a platform to volunteer. Later, here is an example of what kind of letters you receive, which can help us out how in our resume, and when you